By the time we get to 1989's Jason Takes Manhattan, it's pretty clear the studio executives were a little uncertain about the tired formula of group of kids goes to Camp Crystal Lake, gets wiped out by Jason. So we'd seen it a bunch of times. They'd already introduced that psychic girl in Part 7, which is a very fun movie, but it was getting stale. So they thought, let's drop them in Manhattan and see what happens there. And that probably would have been a great movie if they'd ever bothered to make it. But they didn't, so we'll never know. And then in 1993, still uncertain about going back to the same tired formula, they give us Jason Goes to Hell, and they have a fundamental misunderstanding of what people are going to see these movies for. We could skip right over Jason Goes to Hell. Nobody wants to talk about that movie. Nobody wants to rewatch that movie. It's terrible. They took out the one thing that anybody would go to a Jason movie to see, which is Jason himself. So by the time we get to Jason X, they take him to the only place that's left to go. The place where every once sort of okay franchise goes to die. On a side note, I don't know why Jason feels the need to go everywhere that the Muppets have been, but I fucking love it. Can you imagine a movie where Jason finds himself in the Jim Henson Company's vision of 19th century Dickensian London? I would never stop watching that movie. I would watch that movie until I starved to death. Okay, so Jason X is a movie. It gets a lot of hate from fans. It's cheesy in the way that only an early 2000s movie can be cheesy. There's people in leather doing martial arts.
Hey, Slappy! Got a little something for you. Oh, wow. Gave her an upload.
Afraid I'm gonna have to hurt you now.
We have Uber Jason for some reason. It just doesn't feel like the Jason that we all know and love, the one that we went to the movie to see. It almost felt like a Phantom Menace situation. It was just like, what the hell is this? Why did you give us this? This movie opens in the year 2000 in the Crystal Lake research facility. And we see Jason bound by chains. I think maybe he's hanging from some beams, and we have some text on the screen that says, subject Jason Voorhees, as if there's any other subject being housed at the Crystal Lake research facility. Their plan is to cryogenically freeze him for his to study his regenerative properties or some shit like that. Right away we get some good Jason kills. The lady kind of tricks him into the cryogenic chamber. She shuts the door on him, but still he somehow manages to drive his machete through like 3 inches of steel and stabs her. Somehow this triggers a contamination sensor or something like that, and the door shut on her, and they're both frozen cryogenically. Flash forward to the year 2455. It's been 455 years. There's a team of, I don't know if they're students or they're just young scientists. Either way, they're all young and somewhat attractive people, I suppose. Apparently midriffs are all the rage in the future. They come, they dig them out, they bring them on the spaceship. Who cares? Jason's gonna kill everybody on the spaceship. What else is this movie gonna be about? You know? So very quickly he's up and running. It is the act of lovemaking which resurrects Jason Voorhees. It's essentially the same formula of going to Crystal Lake, only now the spaceship is a surrogate for that. It's full of a lot of really fun kills. There's a scene where Jason spears some guy through the back, and he says, you know, it's gonna take more than a poke through the ribs to take me down or whatever, and so he does it again on the other side, and the guy says,
yeah, that ought to do it.
The characters, as hateable as they are still empathetic. You want to see as many of them get killed as possible, but you also want to see the final girl make it to the end. Jason X gets a lot of hate, and rightfully so. It's still an entry in the franchise that I find myself going back to far more often than even 1, 2, and 3. It's so terrible that it ends up being good. You know, it's one of those so bad it's good movies. It's exactly the type of thing that we do here at Portal B. It's so bad it comes out the other side, and it's great.
Grab her head! Reach out!
You know, when we all went to see this in 2001, we thought, what is this? Why do we want to watch this? This is awful. But in 2023, if you watch it, this movie's amazing. It is so funny. It is non-stop laughing and cringing. There's nanobots. So the bottom line is, none of us watch these movies for their stellar storytelling. We want to watch Jason kill people, and this movie delivers in spades on that front. And, you know, looking back on Jason Takes Manhattan, which has its own share of very entertaining kills. And Jason Goes to Hell. This movie was kind of like a breath of fresh air. And then 2 years later, we get the perfect movie, which is Freddy vs. Jason. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, that movie was exactly what you wanted. When you and your buddies talked about, oh man, what would it be like if Freddy and Jason fought? That movie was absolutely perfection. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Jason X and why you should put it back into your circulation if you're going to sit and watch a bunch of Jason movies. Throw that one on. Give it another shot. You probably haven't watched it in 10 years at least. Why would you? But it's more entertaining than you remember.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex!
I hope you do. This has been $2 Horror. We'll see you again next month. I believe we're going to talk about Stage Fright, 1980 somethings. Stage Fright, 1985 or 86. Giallo film. It's one of my favorites. So until then, don't let anybody give you shit for watching movies because their world sucks. See you later.
Do you like them?
They're fine.